Konbanwa, minasan. Kyo desu. So let's talk about reverse culture shock. When I first went to Japan, I actually didn't have culture shock. I think I did a good job of preparing myself for the country that I was planning on visiting. And it's actually when I came back from Japan to America in which I realized how different the two cultures were. And then I really understood why a lot of foreigners who come from certain cultures often say Americans can be very rude and selfish. I finally understood that for the first time. But mixed with that and other things, I figured I'd just make a quick video about differences I've seen in Japan and America, and I guess what things really shocked me when I came back. And before we continue, please give this video a like. It does help with the algorithm in promoting a video. Also, leave a comment down below if you have any comments, questions, concerns, complaints about the video. But either way, please give this video a like. It's heavily appreciated. So like I mentioned earlier, I think the biggest thing for me had to be how rude Americans are. I think Japan, because of their culture of wanting to have harmony with people and not really complaining or really giving strong opinions about stuff, they have a very strong sense of feeling the air, not doing things that makes people feel uncomfortable, and not being very confrontational. I think because of that, I didn't face much rude people. Of course, you've met crazy people. Like I remember this one drunk guy who came to me at Shinjuku Eki, and he was drunk, and he was trying to show me how to get to where whatever. Then he begged me for money for food or something like that. That's one of the only few times I've had like a weird experiences with a Nihonjin. But other than that, when I came back to America, especially in the airport, I realized like the staff was rude. TSA sucked, but in Japan, they give very good customer service, in which I was impressed, Of course, a lot of it you can tell is fabricated, it's fake. You can tell when someone genuinely likes you or wants to serve you, and someone who's just like, this is their job. Arigatou gozaimasu. Hi, dozo. Hi. You even though it's very good, you can tell when people are, it's their job. But either way, the service in Japan is fantastic. But when I came back to America, I really realized how many Americans are just plain rude. Another thing that really shocked me when I came back is how dirty America is. I think it's amazing to me how Japan is such a clean country despite being so developed. In many first world countries like China or America, you find trash everywhere. People don't care. People spit out their gum. People spill their drinks. People will just throw the trash on the floor, especially in big cities like New York or Miami or LA or Chicago, where like trash is just everywhere. I mean, if you go to New York now, I remember when I went to New York back in 2018, and I was just so shocked how much garbage is on the sidewalk. And literally when I was in Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, one of the biggest cities in Japan, literally I saw little to no trash anywhere. And the crazy thing to me is that Japan doesn't have much trash cans everywhere. It's not like, you would assume that a trash can will be on every corner so people can put their trash in. It's not like that. It's like people will literally carry their trash until they find some place they can put it in. Japan is a very clean country, and for me, I appreciate that because it really shows they care about the environment, or they care about presentation. And I wish many countries in the West, including America, can take some notes from Japan. However, I know because we're so multicultural, we have a whole bunch of cultures in America, it's really hard to have some kind of symmetry and values. So, that's something I wish would happen. I guess a culture shock to me, as far as being in Japan, this is a big one, is that how accessible pornography is. I remember when I went into a a Family Mart, and I remember there's one section where there's literally like porn magazines. I mean, obviously they're wrapped up so no one can just flip through them, but it's crazy to me how easily porn was accessible in Japan. Like in America, you would have to go to a specific adult store, and in that adult store, the windows are all blinded up or shut up, so you couldn't see what's inside. And even to go inside, you have to show proof of ID that you're 18 or older. But literally, I can go in a Family Mart, a convenience, and just buy porn. Like it was mind blowing to me. I remember when I was in Tokyo, I also was in a bookstore or a manga shop, And literally I saw pornographic manga too. There was yaoi and yuri, you know what I'm saying? I was like, dang, like in America, porn is not this accessible. So to me, that was like a mind blown, like dang. I mean, Japan is known for its sex industry, I will say that. What also was a huge culture shock actually being in Japan as well is that how crowded the trains can get and how like it's so intense that even the train conductors or the people who are like, you know, kind of monitoring everyone, they'll even like forcibly close the door shut. How crowded it gets in America, we would not do that. If a train's too crowded, we're like, I'll catch the next one, or, you know, we wouldn't want to be that close to each other. But that was mind blowing. I remember one time, I think I was on the Yamato line. If it was a JR line, I know it was a JR line in Tokyo, and I remember it got so full, and I was like being so close to everybody. I'm like, dang, this is it's a bit uncomfortable, you know. I mean, it was crazy how, I guess that also leads to another thing, how efficient the Japanese try to be. You know, the trains are always on time. The Shinkansen always on time. I mean, things are always on time that if you tell your boss that you're late because your train, it's almost dang near impossible that's true unless, but I do know that if the trains are late for some reason, they actually do give you a note to give to your work to actually say, hey, they were late because the train was late. I mean, to me, that was a big thing, how efficient Japan can be as far as its economy or its jobs. Like, they try to make sure that they do the best they can to get the best results. I wish America was like that in a lot of ways, that, you know, people tried their best to give the best possible service ever. But, you know, that's another big thing that really shocked me when I was in Japan. I also think, relatively speaking, Japan has cleaner air. Depending on where you live in the US, if you live especially in the major cities, there's a lot of pollution and the air may not be as clean. But I did figure when I was in Japan, even in Tokyo, that the air seemed pretty clean compared to America. Even though I knew this part already, it was still shocking to me that I remember when I went to a few restaurants and you don't actually tip the waiter. And to me, that was awesome, me personally, because it's like a lot of times when you're in America, you know, we have a very much a tipping culture where you're supposed to tip your waiter, really if you like the service, but it's kind of like the unspoken rule that no matter what, you always have to tip. But honestly, if you don't like the waiter, you don't have to tip. But it's like I wanted to give money to the waiter that served me, but it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. In Japan, they don't tip. I wish it was like that in America, but that was another thing that really like, oh man, we really don't have to give tips. And one last thing that really shocked me was that even though Japan was a first world country, their Wi-Fi spots weren't that developed yet. In America, you can find Wi-Fi anywhere. Many restaurants or fast food joints or libraries have a Wi-Fi, a public Wi-Fi you can attach to. But in Japan, at the time, when I needed a connection to something, you oftentimes had to sign up for a service or supply your email or something. It was very hard. It's not like you would just take your phone and connect. You had to like do all kind of tricks and tips to try to connect to Wi-Fi. So for me, it was like, man, Japan is such a developed country, but at the same time, like their Wi-Fi isn't as developed yet as far as public Wi-Fi. You know, of course, the houses I was at and the hotels I stayed at definitely had Wi-Fi. But for me, it was just so crazy how, you know, the Wi-Fi wasn't so easy to use, or it wasn't even as accessible, or sometimes the connection wasn't that greatest. But, you know, that was a big thing that really got to me, especially since I was using roaming data and I didn't want to rack up my charges. So I wanted to use this Wi-Fi as much as possible. But that was also a culture shock I had. So those are just some things that really shocked me when I came back to America, and the things that was really shocked me when I was in Japan. So if you guys ever traveled outside of Japan, let me know what experiences you guys had with culture shock or reverse culture shock. I'll be definitely interested to know in the comment section below. So if you guys liked the video, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Arigatou gozaimasu. Minasan. じゃあね。